Hey everyone, this is John Katarn, and I'm back with my Darth Vader lightsaber build. Now, I have kind of skipped and tried a lot of fat, so I've kind of skipped a lot of steps that I would usually do because I don't think that it's that crucial to the build. I will explain what I did. I think it's relatively easy. I just want to make this a lot easier. I do not want to have a lot of minutes. I do not want to have a very long video where I over-explain myself. I'm going to try and keep it as simple as possible, and I hope that you can follow this. I hope that you can enjoy this. This is the very first video for the Darth Vader lightsaber construction, or building an MPP, as it's called. It's just like Luke Skywalker's lightsaber's graphics. This is the MPP. So let us get into it.
Look, it's the general.
Now, before we get into this, before we take our lightsaber apart and we show the inner workings, we need to show you guys what we need to. I need to show you guys the tools necessary for the build that you're gonna need. Like every starting off or kickoff video, when you're building something, you need to make a list of the materials and or tools that you will need to make this build a possibility. Now, of course, we're going to start with just see. Let me just make sure that we're seeing what we have to see. Okay. The first thing is that you're going to be needing your workspace cutting mat, and you're going to need a very clean surface. Now, this cutting mat is battle worn. I think I should replace it, but at the same time, it's never bothered me that much. But at first is a set precision screwdrivers. This is a 16-piece set. I got it on eBay, which was kind of difficult to come by because this is not very easy to find, especially at the price that I got it. I used this on my previous graphics build. The majority of the tools that I have now are the ones that I use for my graphics and my Saber Forge lightsaber that I built live last time. So, if you remember this is my tabletop hobby vise, a mini tabletop hobby vise, which I use to put the LED or whatever I need to retain here. Now, it's kind of wobbly, but it's actually proven to be quite useful. I've used it a couple of times, works perfectly fine, and I'm kind of satisfied with it. Not kind of, actually, I'm really satisfied with it. So let me just put these little screwdrivers away. And there's a lot of stuff that I don't need. I have to put them back too. So, of course, since you're going to be dealing with electronics, I'm going to put the tabletop this way. You're going to be needing a soldering iron, of course. Now, the iron that I have is different. This is not at the station. It doesn't fit. It's going to melt. This is plastic. You're going to be needing a sponge, soldering sponge, so that you can clean the tip of your soldering iron. And those are the few essentials that you're going to be needing, basically. This is my box of tools that I'm going to be needing for this build. This screwdriver is going to be necessary for the, you're going to see in a minute, the screwdriver. Flathead, very thin. And let's see. This is the thermal paste that I have. You can use the thermal star pad for the LED, but I use this thermal paste for the heat dispersion. I need it to be distributed so that my LED doesn't burn out. And since I'm dealing with reds, I need to make sure that this is going to be applied properly, because reds are a color that not only need a bigger resistor, but they also I think that they draw more heat than, let's say, blues or greens. E6000 glue, a very useful glue for modeling and stuff. Now, it's not super glue, but it does get stuff fairly steady. But if you need to remove something that was stuck down with this glue, you can remove it. You can. It's possible. What next? Battery test kit that I use for the LEDs. It's not necessary to have one of these, but you want to test the LEDs that you have. It's not a bad idea to have these too. So I'm going to put this aside for now. Before I go into this any further, this is the chassis that I'm going to be using and one of the batteries that I use. to fit the whole chassis inside the inner core. The wires that I'm going to be needing, now I know they look very little, but the chassis and the inner core are going to be so close together that I'm going to be needing a lot of wire for it. And I just put the box in here for the stuff that I'm going to be needing. I'm still waiting on the electronics, but we've gone over that twice, so I'm going to start the build immediately when I get the electronics. Nose pliers, which can be handy for getting stuff into tight spaces. Your helping hands with the toothless alligator clips, very useful for holding down some very thin wire. We're going to be using 10 gauge wire, of course, just like in the Graphics, just like in the Saberforge Prodigy. That's what I called it. Now, Saberforge already has a Prodigy, but I'm calling this my own Prodigy anyway. So, helping hands, very useful. The double-sided adhesive foam that I use to keep the soundboard and stick it onto the chassis, and it does a great job. All you have to do is just press it for a few seconds, and that chassis is not going anywhere. So, adhesive foam, put it there. Perfect. We'll put the rest of the materials here. Okay, so that we yeah. My trusty wire stripper here that goes all the way from 20 to 30 gauge. And did I say 10 gauge wire previously? Shit, no, that's not true. This is 30 gauge wire that I'm using, the thinnest in the market so far. Very useful, very cool. Let me just put these back. And of course, when it comes to soldering, you're going to be needing some flux. Mine is white. You can also have the yellow or brown flux. There's no significant difference. It doesn't matter when you're dealing with materials small as the ones that we're going to be using for our lightsaber. The only difference between the white flux and the brown flux is that brown flux can be used, is utilized for, high temperatures, just a little higher than white flux. But those temperatures are in the are 4 figures high in the Fahrenheit scale, so that's not that much of a problem for us. We're not going to be reaching 4,000 degrees Fahrenheit with this. We're building a toy lightsaber. No, not a toy. Can't call this a toy. I'm going to call this a model scale replica lightsaber that works with electronics. So basically, I don't know if anyone from Copa might be watching this, but this is not for kids. I would not recommend for a kid to be playing with a burning hot soldering iron and teaching them how to solder. So basically, kids, this is for your dads. So I recommend that you get out the way, go and play with their actual toys, and let your dads do the work for you. This is my solder wire, of course, wonderful. 4060 rosin core. It has flux on the inside of the core of the wire, which is good to have. And last but not least, in my box, I have some super glue. I don't know where I might need that, but we'll see. In just a few seconds, I'm going to transition from my workspace with the tools, and we're going to be going over the hilt and taking it apart shortly. Stay tuned. I know I said I was going to transition shortly onto the cutting mat and taking the lightsaber apart, but I think I'm going to do that on another video because it's going to be too big and there's going to be a lot in one video. So I'm going to have to cut this short just here now. I want to thank you guys for watching, taking the time to lightsaber construction. In the next part, I'm going to be taking the lightsaber hilt apart, and I'm going to be going over the necessary modifications to the inner core that need to be done in order for you to have your lightsaber ready for construction. The electronics are not here, so we're going to have to wait, but by the time I get to part 2, hopefully, I will have the electronics, and I will not have to wait and push back the schedule for this lightsaber build. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. General Katarn out.